Hello students, hope you all will be doing your best. Now today with this video we are going to conclude this chapter Python functions. So let's go. Here in this video two things we will concentrate on. One is scope and lifetime of a variable. As you can see in this slide, scope of variables means the parts or areas of a program where a particular variable or any name is legal and can be accessed is called the scope of the name or of that variable. There are two types of scopes, the global scope and the local scope. About global scope, whenever any variable or any name is declared in the top level segment, which we know as the main segment of our program, and that thing is supposed to have a global scope and it can be used inside the whole programs and blocks contained within the program. So anything declared in the main segment of our program is supposed to be a global thing and can be used everywhere in the program. Whereas when we talk about the local scope simply means that a thing which is declared inside a block. So inside a block, or we can say that inside a function, if anything is declared, that thing is supposed to be local to that function only and can be used inside that function or that block in which it is defined. So they have local scopes. Earlier, we have learned how to declare functions, and we all know that functions may have parameters. So, which we know as the formal parameters, the parameters written in the functions definition. The parameters written in the function definition, that is formal parameters, have their local scopes, means they can be used within that function only and nowhere else. Local scope can be multi-level. So what do we mean by multi-level? It simply means that anything which is defined locally will also be available in the blocks, in the sub blocks which are which are being contained in the super blocks. Okay. Now, one closely associative term with this scope is the lifetime of a variable. Lifetime simply you can say that the time for which a variable lives in computer's memory. For global variables, the lifetime is the entire program. So until your program execution finishes, the global variables remains in the memory, whereas the local variables remain in the memory only till the execution of that block in which they are defined is going on. So lifetime and scope, these are two different things but are closely associated. Now the thing that whenever we have variables or names in global scope also or local scope also, and what will happen, how Python is going to search the names that we declare whether globally or locally, then for resolution of the scope of a name means to find where a particular variable is defined. Python follows LEGB rule, as you can see on the screen. LEGB, so from L to B. So first of all, whenever a variable or any name encounters, it is searched in its local namespace. Means, first of all, Python is going to search it in its local environment. So if the name is not found in the local environment, then it searches it for its enclosing environment, which is E. Enclosing environment means the environment in which the variable is enclosed. If the variable or any name is still not found in the enclosing environment, then Python goes for the global environment. So it will search the name in the global environment, and still if it is not found in the global environment, then it is going to search it in built-in environment. So what is built-in environment? Actually, there are certain names which are built-in names. Built-in in the sense their meaning is predefined. So if any name is not found in local or enclosing or global environment, then it is searched uh, in built-in environment of Python. And if it, it is still not found in built-in environment, then what happens? The Python reports an error, variable not defined. Okay, I think this figure will be clear to all of you. LEGB. So first search locally, then in enclosing environment, then globally, then built-in environment, and if it still could not find the things, Python reports an error. Now here are some cases given. Case number 1 is when a variable is in global scope but not in local scope. Means you are using a name in a local scope where it is not defined. So what will happen? But it is defined globally. So what will happen? Python picks the value of the name from the global environment if it is not defined locally. The second case, when a variable is neither in global scope nor in local scope. So whenever this situation arises, when we do not have a variable name in global or in local scope, Python is going to report an error. This variable is undefined or not defined. Now the third case is interesting, when the same variable name in global as well as in local scope. Then what Python is going to do when it has a name both in local scope as well as in global scope. So in that case, Python will prefer the local one. So it hides the global variable. So whenever we have a name which is locally as well as globally declared at both the places, the local declaration is preferred over global declaration, and we can say that Python hides the global variable. Now, as we all know that whenever a value is passed to a function at the time of its call, so immutable types, immutable types, the changes made in immutable types are not reflected back to the calling function, we all know. And now we have a statement name as global. So here in this let me see. Let me choose the color. So here in this example, you can see here this one. A function s1 is declared, and this is the main segment. This one. So in the main segment here, what is being done? We have declared a variable p holding a value 15, then a statement print p. So what print p is going to print? Can you guess? So it is quite simple. Your answer will be 15. So 15 gets printed on the screen. Now about this line where s1 function is being called. So on calling s1, the control transfers to this function here, s1. Now this statement, you can see global p, this one. Global p, this statement what says? Do not create a local variable with the name p, rather use the p which is globally declared. So if this line is omitted from here and we simply start from p equals to 20, then this p will be a new variable which will be local to s1 only. So here we are instructing Python that do not create a new variable with the name p, rather use the globally declared variable. So print p is here going to print 20, and on returning from here to here print p, what we will get? Again 20, because this p change in the value of p will be reflected here to the actual argument p, because we have used global keyword. But it is always advised not to use this global in your program. Now here on this slide you can see some mutable and immutable properties of past data objects. So what you see here, these two lines, this one, list 1 comma 3 and variable 1. What you see here, you can see a list with the name list 1 has been declared, and it has two elements 1 and 3. Then a simple variable var1 is declared holding the value 1. So what actually these two lines mean at the memory level? So as we all know that unlike other languages, variables are not value containers. They just hold the references, not the values. So this is the map given here. The line var1 equals to 1 simply means that wherever we have 1 stored in memory, say 148216, this is the location where 1 is being stored in memory. So var1 is going to store the reference of this value, which is 148216. So var1 is referring to this value. Similarly, list 1 is holding two elements 1 and 3. So list 1, here you can see, since list 1 itself holds two values, so for storing two values it needs itself some spaces. So 0 and 1. 0 and 1 means the first element of the list at 0 index and the second element of the list at index number 1. So two values are being stored. At 0 index we have 1, which is here, and 1 index we have 3, which is here. So list 1 is holding two references for the values 1 and 3. We all know that integers are integer values. Integer values are immutable types and lists are mutable. Means we can make changes in the lists. Now see the next slide. Now what happens here, as you saw in the first slide, in the previous slide, we assigned a value 1 to the variable var1. Now here this statement var1 equals to var1 minus 1. What it simply says, we are decreasing the value of var1 by 1. So since the last slide was having value of var1 as 1, after reducing 1 it will hold 0. So now this is the effect of this here. Now var1, which was referring to this value earlier, means this one, but now this is not holding this one and referring towards 0. In the second statement, this one, list1 0 equals to 3. List1 0 equals to 3 simply says that we have changed the element at index 0 as 3. So earlier we were having 1 at index number 0, but now we are having 3 at index number 0. So at both indexes 0 and 1 we have 3. So here on these two places, these two, both will now refer to the same memory location, which is holding 3. So here you can see the reference, the previous reference is being changed, but the list is not changed. Simply that the list is still holding 200 160, which was earlier. Address to hold these 0 and 1 index references is the same, but here the reference has been changed. So the memory allocated to list 1, where it can hold a data item, memory address remains the same, this one, and it is still 200 160. But as the individual items of list 1 have changed, so individual items memory addresses stored here have to reflect this. Suppose list 1 0 and list 1 1 are currently storing memory addresses 14824. The memory address of integer 3, as both are currently pointing towards this value 3. Now the summary is that we say changes in immutable types are not reflected in the caller function at all. We already have discussed this thing. Whenever we pass values which are of immutable types, then any changes in the called function are not reflected back to the caller function. But if we are passing some values of mutable types like lists, then changes are reflected in caller function if its name is not assigned a different variable or data type, and are not reflected in the caller function if it is assigned a different variable or data type. So these are the facts for you. Let's move further. This was your previous assignment which I gave you. One was a problem and one was the output. Now let's discuss the problem number 1, where you were asked to take a number n and then return a randomly generated number having exactly n digits. Okay, let's see. So here is the program for you. So the main thing here is this line, rand range function of random value. So what rand range actually do, here you can see two arguments are there, min comma max. So it generates a random number between these two values which are being given here as arguments. Now the question was that whatever value we are supplying, the number should be generated randomly and of those much digits only. Suppose here you can see we have asked user to enter a number for generating random integer, and from this line here we have called this function random generate, passing the value of num which we have received from the user. Now this value of num is being passed to n. So now n is the number which we have received here. What I have done here, I have generated, suppose the value of n is 2. So it simply means we want to generate a number which is of 2 digits, and you can see that the least 2 digit number is 10, and the maximum 2 digit number is 99. So we have to generate a number between 10 and 99. So what I did here, I just calculated the minimum and maximum values for a number to be of as much digit as we are receiving in n. So if n is 2, so what I have done for getting the minimum value, I have 10 to the power n minus 1. So 10 to the power n minus 1 simply says that if n is 2, 10 to the power 2 minus 1 yani 1, so 10 to the power 1 is 10. So minimum value means the minimum number of n digits will be 10, and for getting the maximum number 10 to the power 2, simply 100, 100 minus 1 99, so maximum value will be 99. So a 2 digit minimum and maximum value will be 10 and 99, which we have generated through these two statements. Then this import random is a module which is being imported through this line, and this function rand range is being used here to generate a random number between these two values given here, min and max. So 10 and 99 will be the values in case when n is 2. So this function rand is going to generate a number between 10 and 99 randomly, and this number gets printed here. So let us see how the output gets generated here. So you can see here the program is asking for a value. I am giving that I want to generate a random number of say 2 digits. Okay, you can see the random number is 90. 90 is of 2 digits. So each time the number will be generated. Say let me have some value with greater number of digits. Say I am given 5. Okay, I want to get a number randomly which is of 5 digits. So you can see here 62166 is being generated here. Now in this way this program is going to give us the result. Now the second problem which I gave you in the last video was this one, and you were asked to write or find the output of this program. So I have written this program here for you, and let us see what output is being generated. So this, you can see here the output generated is 4 lines: 370 star 200, 370 star 170, 220 star 170, and 370 star 220. These are the two outputs. I hope this program will be clear to all of you. It was a quite simple program, but was a little bit tricky only. So this was our assignment, previous assignment, and now for this time's assignment, see what we have done. The first question, you have to find the outputs of these two programs, A and B. And the second problem is you have to write a very simple program that takes two numbers and returns the number that has minimum ones digit. An example is being given here. If the number passed is 491 and is 278, then as we can see that 491 has 1 as its unit digit and 278 has its unit digit as 8. So which one is smaller? Obviously the one is smaller. So the function should return 491 because it has minimum ones digit value. Okay. Hope you all got this videos points, and please do give some time for watching this video, the earlier ones also, and revise the things. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you.